Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where you might be wondering, what do we have going on here? Well, I was just doing a little bit of cleanup on our debris, and I noticed that we can't actually untrack our existing Combined 33 interplanetary transfer stage. So what we need to do is we need to send up this tiny little rocket that I've got here. All this is a delivery mechanism for an RC-001S. We just need to get some brains onto that so that we can deorbit it and get it cleaned up. And that will be absolutely fine here. So let's put this out on the pad, but before we do it, I want to do this. I haven't even bothered to save this thing. It doesn't matter. All we're doing is using this as a cleanup vehicle. So that'll be fine. You can see we're hovering a little bit off the ground here, but that's okay. I'm not too concerned about that. And at this point, what we need to do is we need to head to the Combined 33. So I want to get ourselves into position out over here, and let's warp forward at about 1000x for the moment. Okay, and we're going to be going, I think we can go a little further than this, about here. We're going to be going northward. So that looks good. Let's get out of here. So we're just going to do a little bit of docking maneuver here, and then we're going to utilize the hydrogen engine to deorbit it. I don't want it to exist anymore, and it's cluttering up our map. So upward we go, and we're just going to go fairly up here for the time being. Maybe getting a tiny, tiny amount of horizontal speed, like just out over here or so. Ooh, this thing doesn't really like to stay put very much. Okay, but that'll get us heading in approximately the correct direction. What we really want to do is be burning on anti-target. I'm going to wait until our apoapsis is maybe about 20 kilometers or so. I'm just watching our oscillation here. This is not the most stable craft in the world. It doesn't have to be. Ooh, hang on. Okay, we're tumbling here. We're doing a flip. Okay, why does it want to be here so badly? That's an interesting question for sure. Well, let's just bring this right on back. And we're fine-ish. Okay. I guess we can put it here, but we really don't have enough verticality as of right now. So we're going to need to bring this guy back up over this way and park it about here. Okay. That was definitely some interesting aerodynamics. It might be due to the fact that we've got this exposed docking port here. It's definitely not the stablest craft in the world, but it should be fine. We only need it for this one singular flight, right? So I'm just watching our apoapsis here, and at this point, I just want to burn anti-target. So over we go to anti-target. We're going to run out of fuel in this first stage pretty soon here. That said, I'm noticing this. Okay. And let's burn. Okay, I'm just taking this up. I really don't want... I want to coast for a bit here. I really don't want this docking port to burn off. That would, of course, scrub the entire mission. That would not be good. So we're going to coast for a moment. Okay, now that heat gauge has gone away, so that looks good. I want to burn here. 150. That seems okay. What are we at for our ascending-descending node? It's not actually telling us, which is interesting. But let's head to the apoapsis, and let's just circularize this, and we'll see where we are. 2.9? Okay, that's doable. That is absolutely doable. So we're just going to circularize this about like that. 600 meters per second to get ourselves into orbit. Okay, I like it. 2.9 degrees is not the best, but given that ascent profile, it'll work. That ascent profile is not a preferred one, shall we say. That was very a not preferred one. Let's extend our solar panels, although we have enough battery charge that it would probably last us all the way until our docking. We probably don't need the solar panels, but they're a nice little bit of insurance. And we've got about another 20 seconds here. 10 and 3, 2, 1, mark. And off we go. Little bit of oscillation here, seems slightly over gimbaled, but I'm not too concerned about it. Time to apoapsis is actually going up here. So, no, we're at wait, it was still going up after we stopped burning there. Okay, that's interesting. Well, let's just leave it here. We're not in the most circular orbit, but like I said, given that ascent profile, I'll take this. This is fine. We've got 1495 meters per second to get docked up with. We're not going to need it. So that is absolutely fine. 2.9 degrees, other direction. Okay. So something like this for an inclination change. 110 meters per second. Seems good. Let's get positioned for that. And let's warp on over. Fantastic. So we'll get the inclination change done in just a moment here. 20 seconds. 10 and 3, 2, 1, mark. That should be good enough. How are we looking? 0.0. I like it. Now we're not in the most circular of orbits. So if we were to go for it at the apoapsis here, we would raise up our periapsis like so. This is probably pretty wrong. That is indeed pretty wrong. Okay. What if we did it at the periapsis? That's even more wrong. We're going to have to do a couple of orbits. That's fine. I'm not too concerned about it. So we're just going to warp to here. So we'll give it a full orbit. There we go. And next up, what are we looking for? Well, we are looking to see how much better of a position we're in here. And the answer is not much on the apoapsis side. That's for sure. On the periapsis side, not much either. So we should probably just warp forward here for a while. 1 orbit. 2 orbits. 3 orbits, 4, and 5 orbits. Okay, at this point, if we were to burn at the apoapsis, what would that look like? Still very far apart. We've made some improvement here, but it's still extremely far apart. Okay, let's continue to warp. We'll give it another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So at this point, what does this look like? I feel like we kind of passed our window, to be honest. We were lined up over here. So that was definitely noted. We should probably think about... Yeah, I think we did end up overshooting our window there. Okay, let's just keep an eye on this. Yeah, we did. We overshot the window. So it's going to be sometime more like here. This is probably not going to be perfect, but let's see what it ends up being. Slightly better. But it's going to be out over this way. Much better out over here. Yeah, this is our window. Right around here or so. Okay, so that looks fine. This is 1.6 kilometers apart. We can definitely work with that. So that's going to be about 1 more orbit. And this is absolutely fine. So we'll warp on forward, and we're already in position for that. And we need to burn in about 40 seconds here. 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. This is a very small burn. Okay, something along the lines of that. This is 2.2 kilometers. Yeah, we can work with that. And that sort of trial and error on the warping is not something that would happen in KSP1. I want to be clear about that. The reason that's not something that would happen is because we can just add orbits to the maneuver, and I really wish you could do that in KSP2. Sadly, you cannot. Well, let's warp on over to here for now. We're going to want to be in target mode, and we're going to want to flip over to target retrograde. So we'll want to be over on the other side here. We're going to have a fairly large distance in terms of speed between us, 120 meters per second. That is absolutely fine, and I want to... When is this going to be? In about a minute and a half? Okay, I want to position us about here or so. And let's commence a burn. Okay, so that is 661 meters. Let's warp forward a little bit further to about here, about 1 minute in the future. We're watching this drift. Okay, we've overcorrected a little bit. So that means we should come back over here. And we should end up burning about here. There we go. That is now 69 meters from the target. I'm contractually obligated to say nice. Okay, we're going to hop over to the retrograde marker here, and this is going to be in about 30 seconds. So we should be quite close to this at this point. Yes. We're definitely not going to want to impact it. So we're going to want to start slowing down here. I'm doing a fairly gentle slow at this point. We're about 30 meters per second apart. We've got a lot of thrust to weight here for right now. So that's absolutely noted. All we want to do is crash this thing, by the way. We're not trying to salvage this. We just need to deorbit it. So that is fine. We've got about 700 meters to go. We're coming in at 25 meters per second. Our angling is slightly awkward because we're going to want to dock up over here. So that's fine. We're just going to have to maneuver for that. Because we can't turn this. So we're going to have to position ourselves for it. Okay, let's slow this on down. That's half a meter per second. I'm going to thrust limit this engine now, down to like 5% thrust. Much better. Okay, so now what we need to do is position ourselves right up over here. So that means that we want to set this guy as target for right now. And I want to point at the target. But of course, this docking angle is not going to go well. So what we need to do is we actually need to point at the target, but a little bit up this way. So I'm going to rotate us so that our solar panels are facing like this. Then I'm going to nose this way. Okay. And I'd like to yaw a little bit out this direction. Maybe not quite that much. I feel like we're a little too nosed off. About here. Okay. Now I'm going to get us some speed out this direction. About 1 to 2 meters per second. There we go. And we're going to flip ourselves around into retrograde. Cool. Now we're going to be watching for when we pass over this docking port. Which is, of course, going to take a few moments. And that's absolutely fine. All we need to do, again, is deliver some brains to this. Which is okay. We can certainly do that. It's weird that it's giving us the distance to here, not to our actual target. That's a little strange. No doubt about it. So we're just going to be watching from, like, this angle. I don't think our angling is going to be absolutely perfect, but it doesn't have to be. It's actually pretty good. Okay. Bringing us to a halt. 0.3. This is fine in terms of positioning. Okay. Let's point at that docking port. We're still not in a perfect angle here, but we shouldn't have to be. So let's bring ourselves in here. Something like this. Now, we don't want to be moving too quickly, and I'm watching for any drift issues. There might be some. I don't really care about the angle of this docking, as long as we're in a reasonable spot for it, right? I feel like there should be drift here, but there isn't. Well, docking force will very likely handle this. in this case. Like, we have very little mass that we're delivering here. And so, in theory, this should be pretty much fine. We'll see if docking forces are enough to get us aligned. I kind of wish I had included RCS on this. That would make this easier, but it's fine. This actually looks pretty bang on. Yeah, we're docked. Okay, so we are docked, and at this point, we want to shut down this engine. There we go. We want to control from here to make sure our control directionality is correct. We can turn SAS on, and we want to go over to retrograde. I'm wondering if we're controlling from the correct direction or not, because we don't actually have any crew in that part. But I think we are. All we want to do is deorbit this, so we just need to burn either prograde or retrograde, depending on which way our control direction is. So let's just experiment with that and find out. It should be retrograde, in theory. Yes, it is indeed retrograde. Okay, cool. So we're just going to deorbit this, and we'll see how much of it survives re-entry. So let's just put a periapsis of about 10 kilometers or so. All we want to do is crash it. This is space junk, and we just want to get rid of it. That's what the entire point of this mission was. So let's warp this on forward, and let's fall down to the atmosphere. Okay. We're going to bring this back around to retrograde. I'm kind of interested to see how much thrust to weight this has here. Surely not much. Surely it doesn't have much. Of course, we should retract our solar panels, those that can be retracted. These are not retractable. They're going to burn off, and that's absolutely fine. We know that that's going to happen. This whole vehicle is going to explode, to be clear. That's the point. We want it to explode. So down it comes. So far, so good. Let's go into surface retrograde here. We're not slowing down all that fast, which is interesting to me. Lack of stellar exposure. Yeah, that would be the case. I feel like we should be slowing down a little bit faster than this right now based on my feel of how the drag works in this game. There, now we're coming down reasonably quickly. Okay. I do want to try to feel out how the retrograde burn here is going to work if we try to land this. I have a... that it shouldn't work, right? That absolutely should not work. I'm going to try it, though. Okay. Just trying to hold us retrograde right now. This thing really doesn't want to hold attitude here, but this isn't going to work, right? Hang on. This is going to work. Wait, we're actually positive thrust to weight right now. Okay. Noted. We're not going to have the fuel. But this is remarkable. Okay, now we don't have the thrust to weight. Gotcha. We almost had the thrust to weight to do that. Now, it didn't backfire. To be clear, we were trying to destroy that. That was really interesting, though. So the thrust to weight on those nuclear engines has a really aggressive curve on it as you approach the sea level. Really aggressive curve. So that's good to know. That is definitely very, very interesting. In which case, I'm currently wondering about landing on Tylo using the interplanetary transfer stage. What is the Tylo gravitational pull compared to Kerbal? Because we were positive thrust to weight there, atmosphere notwithstanding. So that's very interesting. Let's head into the tracking station quick. Do we see what the gravitational pull is in the physical characteristics? Gravity is 1 meter per second over Kerbal. Okay. That's interesting. All of this debris is, I think, leftover on the planet after our crash. I did clean up all of the other debris, so this is definitely interesting that there's all of this here. Yeah, this is after we crashed. Definitely. That's what that is. Okay, so we can see that the gravity is 1 meter per second on Kerbal. I don't think that that's exactly accurate, but whatever. We can just use that as like a multiplier. That's fine. There's a lot of debris here. These are in orbit? No, they're not in orbit. They're definitely on the ground. Okay, there's a whole lot of debris there. Noted. And we can delete that later. It doesn't really matter. For now, what I want to do is I want to head over to Joule Tylo, and we can see 0.8 meters per second. Huh. See, if this was KSP1, we would have known our thrust to weight when we were over Tylo, and I would have said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. On our interplanetary transfer stage. So if that's the case, then what if we went to the VAB? And actually, what is it over Moho? Real quick. What is it over Moho? 0.28. So hypothetically, if we go to the VAB, this is very interesting right now. If we go to the VAB and we load in our monstrosity, what happens if we stretch these tanks like so? Let's go to quad symmetry. So I would like to stretch these tanks. I guess we'll need to come in here because it's wanting to grab these awkwardly. So we're going to need to grab a large hydrogen tank. Those would go here. We would strut these so that they are strutted together here and strutted inward like this. So that is additional fuel here. Then we put in landing struts here. So this would be a lot of additional fuel, and then landing struts would go in here. That is under ground. Okay, so we would grab just LT2s. Those would go here, and we would probably end up moving these lights as well. So let's just put in some lights here just so that we can have some of those. That is generally a useful thing in KSP2, it seems. So we would go for, like, probably these guys. And then we just want to flip those around, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so we just need to rotate those. I don't want to rotate it that way. I want to rotate it this way. Like that. Then, and this is the wild part, we just get rid of all of this. We just do this. Get out of here. Boom, like that. Then we can put something up here. What would we want to put up there? I don't know. Maybe like a docking port. Well, we'd probably want to have some form of battery on here. That would probably be a useful thing. So like a medium battery here. And then a docking port up on top of that. We've got our solar panels out here, but we don't have any solar panels internally. We should probably have some internal solar panels on our base stage here. So something like this. And then just a docking port up here, just in case we need to do some sort of a rescue mission. We would definitely also want to have a decoupler down here, right? So we'd want to decouple this. So this would be a medium-sized decoupler? No, a large-sized decoupler. That would go there. And then this guy would be attached right there, like that. So a decoupler there, a heat shield would also be good, now that I think about it. So a heat shield here, a large heat shield, like that. Then the decoupler, then a docking port just in... Hang on, that decoupler detached. The decoupler goes here, on top of that heat shield. There we go. Then we'd want to have a couple of parachutes to bring ourselves down. And in theory, that's all we would need. So a couple of drogue chutes. I'm going to put this in dual symmetry. We'll put them here. And then for main chutes, I do want some fairly large main chutes. We could put a parachute up here, but I don't think I'm going to. I think we're going to do the radial mount chutes, and we're going to do 1. We're going to do 2, 3, and 4, just to be on the safe side. So something along the lines of that. Okay, these are kind of awkwardly positioned, apparently. That should not be blocking our egress. So that looks good. And then we would put a docking port in here. With the idea being, and this will be a like Clampatron docking port senior, something like that. With the idea being that we can now land on bodies with our nuclear engines, because apparently it's powerful enough for that. So let's check our staging here. We definitely want our drogues to go here. This decoupler would probably go here. That detachment should be fine. And then down here, this should all be exactly the same as it was before. Okay, so in theory, that will work. Now, let's take a look at this. Over Kerbin in vacuum, this is a thrust to weight of 0.49. But if we put this over Moho, 1.78 fully fueled. It'll not be fully fueled when we get there. If we put this over Tylo, what is it? Where are we? 0.61. Okay, so this is 0.61 over Tylo. So that is definitely noted, but we're going to get a fair amount further on our first stage as well. So I'm a little concerned about that thrust to weight over Tylo. As we burn off fuel, of course, that'll get significantly improved. So that's 0.79 over Tylo. So how much fuel would we have to remove to land successfully on Tylo? That's the question to ask at this point. And I think the answer to that is we don't need to ask that question right now. We need to go to Moho. But it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to save this, but I'm going to save this as the Moho Lander 2. And we'll save it like that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time when we're going to Moho.